This is a quick video I just wanted to say about something that really explains how the political unconscious works. Has happened here in the UK. Um, oh, Last night, somebody named George Galloway, who was sort of an extreme leftist kind of comedian of the political scene of the UK, won an election in West Bradford, a rather poor, depressed area. George Galloway had also won election in Tower Hamlets when I lived at Tower Hamlets. This is nothing bizarre or unusual. It's a fairly typical thing. People are upset. There's a huge Muslim population. Galloway panders, perhaps you could say, the Muslim population. A lot of people are very much frustrated at the current situation. The thing is this morning, the vitriolic explosion about Galloway, who's going to be one member of parliament for one political party. There's no seating, no arrangement. This does nothing to the political life of anyone in Britain. I mean, it has no impact on anyone. So why the vitriol hatred? Why the anger? Well, what does have an effect on Britain right now is it's becoming quite obvious to anyone with half a brain in the UK that the UK is saddled with a government of tough, incompetent idiots. I mean, it's where to begin. The most recent one was the government was there was negotiations over petrol delivery union that there had been no strike set, but the government seemed to think that it was in their best interest to play up that there was going to be a strike. The prime minister and a member of the government basically was telling people to fuel up, to hoard fuel, essentially. Now the UK is in the center of a major petrol crisis created by the government. This, little bit before this, a person was caught on tape going to Luxembourg financiers saying that for 250,000 pound, a quarter of a £1 million donation, they could have access into policy making in the UK government. There's been confusion over a rise in tax on hot baked goods, which actually a 20% VAT charge that suddenly evaporates on those goods when they cool, which and then a 5% cut in income tax bracket for the highest taxpayers, and reduction in deductions that people can make on pensions. So it's really anybody looking at the political situation from a Tory supporting side is just like, oh my God, these guys are morons. Now, on the other hand, you've got Labour. They're looking at this guy, Ed Miliband, who has a very high, squeaky noise voice and looks very Jewish and stuff. It's like, this guy can't win. He's too weak. He doesn't look like Blair. He's not good enough looking. He's not manly enough. Oh, no, we need another Tony Blair-like character. But then if we get another Tony Blair, we're going to be stuck with another Tony Blair. And then the Lib Dems, I mean, anyone who's a hardcore Lib Dem who doesn't hang themselves is just scored. They're if you don't know the English situation, it's almost not even worth going in. This is the biggest political fiasco of the Liberal Democrats. I mean, they ran as left of Labour in the election, only to form a government way right of what everyone even thought the Tories would be when they were running. So this is the biggest political betrayal I've ever seen in my entire life. And so all three parties are sitting there in a situation where they feel panicky. They feel nobody feels good about the current political situation in the mainstream. So up in Bradford, an area where almost no one ever goes, this one guy who's a hothead wins an election. And it shows how psychoanalysis can be used to understand politics. He suddenly provided them all a target for the threat, particularly since he won with Islamic votes. This is very convenient. All the fears that Labour people have about Ed Miliband, that Lib Dems have about, Clegg, and Tories have about Osborne and Cameron, suddenly that can be expunged in hatred of Galloway. And what we've seen is just a fit. The country is in a fuel crisis. There's plenty of fuel. The country's in a fuel crisis because the government made confusing statements that made people think that they were running out of fuel when they weren't. This is banana republic level government going on, and yet people are distracting themselves by the economy being brought down, the incompetence of the government, the open corruption of the government, by concentrating on this one kind of cigar-toting, left-wing, Castro-loving, leftist somewhere. It's a sideshow, and it shows basically how emotions impact